All right, guys, and welcome in. Fired right out of a cannon. Welcome into a Week 14, Episode 3 edition of Catching Up with Coach here on the 4th and 1 podcast. We've got a jam-packed show. I certainly don't want to bury the lead any. Wow, what a tackle. Guys, I certainly hope that you guys don't mind that I'm watching the SEC championship game as we have this show. And the reason for that is because I think it has a lot of implications on, some of the things that we're going to talk about. And while I'm discussing this, I'm actually going to set this up right here inside my little view here. Give you guys some, active feedback in case you guys aren't able to watch or if you're just listening and tuning in. So again, happy to be here. So we had a little bit of a technical situation with the last video. Ended up taking it down. Didn't like it. Didn't love it. But I'll just get through the little cliff notes. Long story short, just kind of went over a couple of things that I saw going into the last week of the year. Obviously, we skipped a week because of Thanksgiving, because I didn't want to kind of, overload the process with all the things that I had. I kind of wanted to pay a little bit of attention to getting everything right, getting everything organized, getting things into my notebook and onto paper like I do today. And certainly, as you guys will notice, that I don't have my co-host with me anymore. So that is going to be Russo signing off and out, whether it's for the forever, but certainly now for the foreseeable. We're going to run this show solo. You are looking at the sole practicing provider and owner of this show, and I couldn't be more blessed to be here, man. I'll shout out to my dog Russo. Man, I love you, buddy. You gave me this platform and this opportunity to be here and to have this show and to talk to a few people each and every week about what I love the most, and that's college football. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to talk about is what everybody wants to talk about, and it's what a game. What a game last night was. And it's for different reasons than what you might have thought, because the line came out kind of stinky, and we kind of talked about this a little bit. We talked about what would happen if Washington were to go in there and basically crap on themselves, throw up on their lap, give it away. Oregon's the one-loss Pac-12 champion. I think that game went just about as opposite as anybody could have possibly imagined. Washington comes out of the gate running the ball, which already is against the nature and grain for the Pac-12s, excuse me. And I don't really know what we were expecting, but a smash mouth football was not what I saw coming from the Huskies. What I would personally like to go ahead and say is that I apologize to anybody and everybody that I said if this game was going to be boring or if this game was going to be disappointing. I mean, it was everything but that. I mean, now you certainly, as a Southeastern Conference fan, your presumption was that it was going to go Oregon's way. You weren't going to get yours. Bo Nix would have probably cemented his case for the Heisman because of the game or whatever. And so that couldn't have gone any other way. I thought Washington was heads and tails better, the better team throughout the entire game. And I certainly don't think that, since I take a little bit of sip of coffee there, that it was that close. Truthfully, from start to finish, Washington looked dominant. They looked like the team that should have won and should have been there and should have won both games from the jump. And so the way that kind of affects what's happening not only right now, but what's going to happen, later on, here in the day, and not only in the day, but in tomorrow, whenever we, release this whole thing, we're going to find out just exactly what the pecking order is and how much respect a one-loss conference champ that's not a Southeastern Conference one-loss champ, how much that really means and how much that's actually going to mean going forward. So I'm going to go ahead and scratch that off because we're done. We're done talking about it. Washington won. They did it. I don't really know what else to say. In pretty definitive fashion, there was a couple of drives in which Oregon really kind of flexed their muscle on being able to run between the tackles, but it was never really in doubt that much. Like, you never really felt like Washington was going to get knocked out of it. Like, Oregon had the momentum going into half, coming out of half. It was there for the taking, but they just couldn't close them out. Washington with the rapport, and Michael Penix Jr. is that guy, and very likely could come in second in the Heisman because of that. And we're not, really trying to poke fun or pry or anything. And if you want to know who had the better season, statistically, it's Bo Nix. I think from a full body of work standpoint, it's pretty hard to debate that it's Michael Penix because he's just continued to win. Was there a game where he didn't score any touchdowns? Yes. Has he not had the running piece? Yes. but he did beat the other guy twice. And I know I hate taking 10,000 foot views. It pisses me off when people do that. I hate when people do that, but you have to call balls and strikes at the end of the day. And if this is what we're going to do, and we're going to consider the body of work, if we are, then Michael Penix's body of work yesterday was better than Bo Nix's. I mean, it was. So hats off. Both guys are fantastic. Absolutely Heisman candidate worthy seasons, and they better both be in New York. They're obviously going to both be in New York, and the fourth person we'll see who's going to be invited there. But I think it was a pretty good fitting end to the Pac-12 as we know it, because wow, I mean the line 9.5, 10.5. Wow. And Russo called that one, by the way. Russo was all over Washington with that number, and so I couldn't. Oh, ball. Wow, they turned it over again. Oh my gosh. Alabama's up on Georgia 17-10 with 2:14 left in the third, guys. And what do you say? Good Lord and the Shepherds. Okay, we're going to move on here. Because we just talked about what we just talked about, let's talk about, was anybody really like this much against Jaden Daniels to win the Heisman? Was this even like was this really so much of a debate and a discussion? And I put a tweet out. If you want to go check us out on X, follow us at The Real 4th and 1. Guys, a lot of y'all are showing y'all behind. Not really like the listeners to the show, because the listeners of the show kind of know how we feel about this and kind of agree with us in this way, maybe except for maybe one or two of you. But I never knew that this was close. I never knew that there was ever a point in time in which we were really, really discussing who was the best player in college football. This has been Jaden Daniels since like the start of this. Like, this was not like Michael Penix was early, and I would say up until about week three. Week three was probably whenever you really, really started to take a look and said, this really might not be a runaway, because he was by far and away game one, game two, and then game three, he was the betting favorite. It was not anyone else. It was just him. I checked. Believe me, I have receipts. It was easily decided that it was going to be a quarterback award. I know Marvin Harrison was going to get the run because of not only his name, but just in general how good and how good he is as a receiver. But there's no debating what we saw. There's no like bias in that. What I would really say is hard to overcome is accepting the fact that the Heisman Trophy is really not about everything. It is not about what your team is doing. Now you can't go 5-7. You can't go 6-6. But if you go 9-3, if you go 10-2, 11-1, 12-0. I think that 9 is kind of like the nominal number where it's like, look, man, you done won 9 times. Okay, you've got 9 bodies of work that we're going to judge, and what does the other 3 look like? The reason why Jaden Daniels was going to win this, no matter what, was because, and I'm obviously hindsight is 2020. Please understand that I get that. But Pac-12 votes would have probably split anyway, depending on how that game looked. Even if Oregon would have won, you trying to tell me that Michael Penix didn't look just as good as Bo Nix and that he wouldn't have also got some votes? Get a break. Give me a break. The reason why this never really mattered that much was because Jaden Daniels shined even in the losses. Statistically, the one of the most fundamental games that he had was that Ole Miss game. Did he fumble the ball? Yes. And should he have gotten down? Yes. And did it ultimately put them in a bind as far as possessions? Because it was who was going to have the ball last. And we forget, and so often do you forget, that if it weren't just the worst defensive game ever, Ole Miss loses that game. Ole Miss was the better team that day. You can make that. They got the turnover battle, and they continued to score and weren't stopped. So they deserved to win the game. But you're a fumbled ball, and the pass was in the end zone and on the hand of your 4th receiver in the end zone away from Ole Miss losing that game. And now LSU's 10-2. Now, because we know what happened with Alabama, the egregious targeting penalty that was not a targeting penalty that knocks Jaden out of the entire second half of the Alabama game, and you saw how it ended up there. we already know that the body of work was never going to result with LSU being in Atlanta. That was never really the issue. But my issue with people was it felt like it was over. And then he comes out of the protocol and has a literal historic, world historic game against Florida. Now, I'm here with you. Florida's not the 86 Bears, but if you're going to try to tell me that a primetime SEC rival night game in Tiger Stadium isn't a platform no matter who you're playing in the SEC. Now, obviously, it's not if you're playing Vanderbilt. Yes, the allure is not going to be there, but Florida's always going to garner attention. Florida's always going to have viewers. You're always going to watch LSU in Florida if you're a football fan and your team's done playing and there's a game on at night and you're, flipping burgers and drinking brews with the gals and girls. Okay. And the fellas, let's stop pretending as though what he did to Florida wasn't impressive. Give me a break. It's been 4 minutes now. I've been talking about this, and it's hard to imagine that the West Coast media will tell you one definitive sentence and expect that because they said it so definitively that we're supposed to believe it. Jaden Daniels was the Heisman Trophy winner and would have been in New York based on just half of his statistics. He was there as a passer. He then put together another season's worth of rushing yards. Why is this hard? I don't understand why this is hard. Like, he literally was there as a passer and then added top 25 in the nation running back numbers. Like, he literally led the NCAA in yards per carry. I'm going to say that slowly so that you hear it. Jaden Daniels led the nation in yards per carry. That is ignorant. That is ignorant. Jaden Daniels is going to win the Heisman Trophy when he goes to New York. The Southeastern Conference is going to have a really cool graphic about it. You're going to hear about that kid Jalen for a long time. He's going to go to the draft, and if he runs, he's going to run really fast. And someone, if they don't draft him in the first round, I'll eat my shoes. And it will be because of him having some sort of underlying medical something for him to not get drafted into the first round. It would be a crime for it not to happen. And that is not for me to say that there weren't other worthy candidates of quarterbacks making it to New York, but because you have Jaden Daniels, like, who else was it going to be? And save me, everybody's getting on Jalen Milroe because he threw the touchdown at the end of the game last week and says, give me that Heisman, give me that. Bruh, it's a 19, 20-year-old kid that just won a game they weren't supposed to win because they weren't the better team that day, had no business winning the game, and found a way to win, and it came off of his arm. You don't mean to tell me the kid was excited? Come on, bro. Like, I know it was stupid. He's not going to win the Heisman, but let's reel that back in real quick. So as far as we're concerned, we're done with that. We're done with the Heisman. Jaden Daniels is going to be your Heisman winner. And we're going to just watch the West Coast melt, because it seems as though all the guys like the Ryan Leafs of the world are coming out and saying this, and the Joel Klatz, as we forget that he was the quarterback of Colorado. And just because he talks from Big Ten, you don't still think that he wants the Pac-12 to have some run. Like, it's weird to me that this is even still discussed and debated. But you know what? Vegas was just playing us the entire time. Vegas wanted you to have your money on other folks because it was always going to be Jaden, unfortunately, because I think whenever you heard Kirk Herbstreit at the end of College Game Day already say he was voting for Jaden and that Jaden was going to win, it was and he asked him, do you have a vote? And he's like, yeah, I do. And you're already giving him the trophy? And he's like, yeah, yep. That kind of told me other people are thinking that same way. So that's kind of how I knew, but hats off to the Washington Huskies. They're going to make the college football playoff, and I wouldn't want to play in first round. I promise you I wouldn't. But we're going to move on. I've spent enough time on that. I went long-winded on that. I got passionate, and I'm Sicilian, and I can't help it. Now I'm sweating. So, but we're going to go ahead and also mention that we do have a couple of active plays right now. There was an extremely, extremely, extremely weird part of my body that said not to take the Texas spread, and I'm an idiot because they blew them out. A bad look for Coach whenever you're you're hearing about the number being moved, but you don't really tune into the apps to see the number move. And so you just kind of look at the number. It looks weird. You don't take it. That's on me for not doing my research. But our active plays right now are under 46. And this is all on X, by the way, under 46 and a half for the Florida State Louisville game. I actually do like Louisville in the game just based on the fact that they're down to their third string, I think, for Florida State, but that defense is going to play and keep them in it. Wouldn't be shocked to see Florida State win that game. Under 34 and a half for the Iowa-Michigan game, because if it's anything that we know, it's death, taxes, and Iowa game unders. And if it just so happens that Michigan if anybody makes the game go over, it's going to be Michigan. But it'll be because of some sort of defensive play, extra turnover, something like that, flip field position, whatever. And then I've also got Georgia with the 4.5, which, given that it's they're down by 10 with 10 left in the third, I'm not really liking the way that looks. So we're probably going to lose that. But I had to call balls and strikes how I saw it. So because the team that I saw play Auburn last week was what do the kids call it? Mid at best. I think that'd be probably the best thing that I can say. Alabama looked. Looks like you're gonna have a little drop back here and a sack. Is that a strip sack? Not a strip sack. But a sack on Carson Beck. That's gonna end the quarter. Oh wow, actually the fourth already started, so I'm tripping. Scorecast was backed up. Wow, he had everybody open. Unbelievable. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the last award that we can talk about, and then move on to going forward here in the show. I'm not really sure how you guys feel about the Biletnikoff. I don't want to spend too much time here. The best season is done by Malik Neighbors. The better season. And I wanted to bring this guy's attention, but I do have to bring up his name because I want to give this guy his credence. And I have a pretty strong chance in believing that he's not gonna hear me say this, but I am gonna give him a shout out anyway. Washington is his last name. Malik Washington of the Virginia Cavs has 110 catches, 1426 yards, an average of 13, along of 64 and 9 tutties, and didn't get invited to New York. Meanwhile, Marvin Harrison Jr. with 67 catches, 1,211 yards, 18.1 average, along a 75 and 14 tutties, did. Joining him will be Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze, who I think are probably your Rome Odunze is him, but Malik Neighbors, 86 catches, 1546, 18 average, 51 long, and 14 touchdowns. And it's the yards after catch comparison. It is not really even that close. I really, really want everybody to hear my heart when I say that if this was based on just a specific season, Malik would win, or even Odunze, but it's kind of a legacy award. You can go back a couple of years and find, some Thorpe Award winners that won because of their previous year, and the Butkus Award too. I think that this is, extremely based on what you've done, not just what you've done for me lately, more of what you've done as a body of work. And I know it's not supposed to be that way, but it is, unfortunately. And so that's what we're going to have to deal with there moving forward. But going forward with the show, I kind of want to talk about this a little bit, not too long, because I don't want to keep you guys, obviously, 18 minutes in. I kind of wanted to keep this under 30. The playoff picture, as I see it, is pretty much decided already. I don't know that this is really hard. Michigan, I have a difficult time believing that Michigan's not going to take care of Iowa. Washington is in, by the way. I'm not sure what the pushback is on me saying that Texas is in. Unless they're just really, really going off of strength of schedule, but obviously if Georgia wins, they're in. I don't know if I'm in on Georgia losing and still being in thing. If Bama wins, it's because you could look at it two ways. You could look at it as who's had the tougher schedule, Bama. But when they play head to head, it's hard to like. Obviously, if Bama wins and they're both 12-1 with their champion, or 11-1 rather, with their 12-1 with their conference championship, you're not going to put the team that beat them in. So I think that would break the back. But I think if Michigan and everything stands, it'll be Michigan, probably Washington, Bama. I mean, do you really keep Florida State out? Comment in the chat what y'all think, or tell me something on Twitter what y'all think, because it is a little bit harder, but I think Louisville kind of makes that easy for everyone because I think Louisville might win the night. It's fair to believe that Louisville can win, and I hate that for Jordan Travis, man. What a Mike Norvell deserves a lot of credit for what he's done with that defense, man. That putting some fellas on that side of the field. But I think if Louisville ends up beating Florida State, I've got a really difficult time finding a 2 SEC team. But keeping SEC out altogether doesn't seem as crazy as putting 2 of them in. But that's just the way that I see it. Greg Sankey doesn't believe in that, but it's a head-to-head matchup. So, and then as far as going forward, guys, I just wanted to make it very, very clear this show is not going anywhere. I do a little bit of an audio vlog for some family and some friends that I send out. I just recorded on my the great Josh Pate would say, that my iTray. And I send it out to them, and I get usually about Monday or Tuesday, and then we record the show on Thursday. But as far as plays are concerned, coming to you guys with information, I certainly don't want that to go anywhere. And I don't want you guys to think there's ever going to be a point in time in which I just throw my hands up in the air and don't want to record, and that's why. It's usually because I'm taking personal vacation. I'll put something out on Twitter, and I'll let you guys know like what's going on and keep you involved. But definitely know that this is not going anywhere for me. This is a show that I look forward to every single week, and wherever it goes is going to be completely dictated on you guys. And it's the buy-in, and it's the messaging, and it's, how you guys feel. So I certainly love and appreciate all the support that you guys can give me in the show going forward. And obviously, as always, we're going to respect my dog Russo, because it is because of him that I'm even able to be here today and to be in front of you guys and have this platform. And Russo didn't go anywhere or do anything. He's just taking a little bit of extra time to, take care of some things with his personal life, whether it's work or his fiance and his family. He's got a little nephew. He's going to spend some time with some family and get back in and do his thing. And we love him. And no matter what, we're going to always support our folks. And if he wants to ever come back into the saddle and have some episodes and give some bets, I mean, that dude still makes more money than I do on the apps. So, and I've actually got to text him back right now because I got to see what we're doing for this Iowa-Michigan game, because I've got a couple of weird ideas. Check the Twitter if you guys want to get active with that. But that's going to put a button on our show this week, guys. I'm absolutely fired up about the fact that Alabama's going to try to piss some folks off. I love the parody. I love the spice. This was literally the committee's worst nightmares, having Alabama win this game. But here we are, man. Like I said, it's week 14. I'm loving it. I'm hot. I'm spicy about it. And we'll have another episode coming up super soon talking about all the bowl games and how we see it. And we're going to do a bowl mania. At least I'm not sure if I'm going to do it with my friends, if we're just going to compete with the nation, but we are going to have our picks, and I will give you, my picks, whether it's on here or my favorite ones, my locks, spreads and stuff like that. And then we are going to post them on Twitter and try to keep a good track and then compare them going forward. Oh my God, is he going to take that? He's not. Good open field tackle, 81. Good Lord, way to put a hat on him. But that's going to wrap us up, guys, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I certainly hope that you guys had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your loved ones and ate all the mac and cheese and the turkey and the fried. I mean, if you're like my family, got a little bit of fried chicken on them plate and a little bit of greens, all that kind of stuff. And I hope that you guys are getting excited for some cold weather, some nice, meaningful playoff football, and getting ready for the greatest holiday that there is. And that's Christmas. I'm a big Christmas guy. We might even have a little Christmas special here for the show to finish off, 2K23. But again, that's it. That's a wrap. Peace and love, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube if you wouldn't mind, and maybe get us a little shout here on the DMs on Twitter. Don't obviously slip into my DMs. Please do not. I love my girlfriend very much. All right. Where's my button at? There we go. Peace and love, guys.